Hi there, this is Dr. Mu'in Hasib again, the accreditation consultant and the quality and safety trainer with another subject on accreditation and quality in clinical laboratories. Today's subject, CAB inspection stages, before, during, and at the end of the inspection. I'm going to tell you in this presentation what do you need to do before your inspection, during your inspection, and after your inspection. The learning outcomes for today's lesson: when is your inspection? How many inspectors you're going to get? Who are they? Who is inspecting who and where? Inspection stages: before the inspection, on the day of the inspection, during the inspection, at the end of the inspection. And under that will cover your section inspection and the lab inspection and after the inspection. Then I'm going to tell you what inspectors will be looking for, focusing on during the inspection, and I'm going to give you some tips for the inspection. When is your inspection? The big day. If you are a US lab, you don't know exactly when they will be coming except 1 hour before they come. They have a 90 days windows when they can come during that time, any day. So they will call you 1 hour before they come, and they tell you we're coming and we're going to be there in 1 hour, and you should be ready within that 90-day period, because all inspections are unannounced. However, for non-US labs, the inspections are announced, they are arranged, so you know exactly when they are coming. It is going to be arranged between the CAB team leader and the medical director of your laboratory, or whomever is contacting the CAB regarding the inspection, like the quality manager or the lab supervisor, for example. How many inspectors? Who are they? If your CAB inspection is unannounced in the US, then you really don't know. Okay, you don't know how many inspectors, but the inspectors should be according to your lab size. Okay, so if you have a basic lab with hematology, immunology, molecular, blood bank, histo, cyto, chemistry, things like that, basic lab with no special labs, you probably will get about five to six inspectors max. Okay. For non-US labs, you know exactly who's coming and how many are they coming and who are they. Okay, they will tell you their name. So let's say if you're getting 4 inspectors, then there will be 3 pathologists, 1 technologist. Usually for the US labs, there will be the medical director of a laboratory, okay, and his technologist, his supervisors. He brings his team with him, usually from the same same lab. Unless he doesn't have, for example, a blood banker, then he will ask CAB to provide him with a blood bank inspector. Okay. In the non-US labs, it doesn't work yet this way. Okay. In the US, you are supposed to provide a team of inspectors from your own laboratory to go and inspect another lab, okay, the same size as your laboratory, okay, because all the inspections are voluntary. Nobody's paid for performing any CAB inspections. In non-US labs, like here in Saudi Arabia, if you want a local team, then you contact the chairman of the CAB in the Middle East, and he will assign a team for you. Usually, he will pick one from different hospitals. Okay, that's how it works. We are not there yet overseas. We are not there yet in having laboratories go inspect another laboratories on the year um, when they don't have inspections. I hope we will get there one day, because this is the right thing to do. So like I said, who are they? If you have an announced inspection or outside the US, you know who exactly they are and what they will be inspecting. If you are in the US, you will not know who are they till they get there. Who's inspecting who and where? Okay. Again, if you are in the US, you don't know till they get there. So you have to work it out between you and the team leader. But if you are overseas, non-US lab, then you have a chance to make a schedule and assign areas and everything. So this is a schedule that I'm proposing, or I do for my clients. Okay, I list the inspector. I list the sections that the inspector will be inspecting, staff assigned to the inspector, who is going to be with the inspector, name and title, okay, the assigned area where they will be sitting doing the inspection, and any comment like AM, PM, because with the international inspections, okay, the inspectors usually do more than one section, so they could do one in the morning and one in the afternoon, for example. Okay, so at the end you get something like that. I mask the names for privacy. So here are the inspectors, here are the sections, staff assigned area. Like you see here, I have AM, 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 PM, PM, things like that. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the inspection stages before the inspection. What you need to do in order to be ready for the CAB inspection and pass the CAB inspection. Well, you need to prepare in order to be CAB ready. How? You need IBBs, you need the QC, you need maintenance, you need BT, you need to finish your checklist with the compliances as applicable, you need validation verification, you need training competency, you need safety, you need instrument to instrument comparison, lot to lot verification, etc., etc. Well, basically whatever is required from you by the checklist. Okay. So on the day of the inspection, all this I mentioned, the IBBs, QC, maintenance, okay, need to be in your assigned area the day before or early in the morning on the day of the inspection. This is if you have, now I'm going to talk about announced inspections, okay? You know the date, you know who's coming. Yeah? If it's an announced inspection, you should have things ready. You know where they are to get into the inspector when they want it. Okay. So again, I'm talking about announced inspections for non-US labs. You need to have ready, move, and make available to the inspector on the day of the inspection. Okay, what you need, inspectors will arrive to hospital around 8:30, and usually this is a range between the team leader and the hospital. Usually you pick them up from the airport, you send them to the hotel, and in the morning you bring them from the hotel to the hospital, and when they're done, you send them back either to the airport or to the hotel. The lab director and or quality manager, okay, will meet them at the main door of the hospital. He or she will bring them to the auditorium or a big meeting room. You need to have enough chairs and tables for the inspector. Say if they are 4, you need a table with 4 chairs. If there are 6, you need a table with 6 chairs. Okay. So by 8:15 a.m. maximum, all of the people on the schedule should be in the auditorium or in the meeting room for the introduction. Now, the lab director or the quality manager will welcome the CAB team and introduce your team, okay, to the CAB team. So, and I'm giving you a tip here. Use the assignment schedule so you don't forget anybody. If you use your head, usually you forget 1 or 2 of your people, and they get upset you did not mention my name. So use the assignment schedule as on the schedule, or list their name on a paper and mention them all. Don't forget anybody. We don't want anybody upset before the inspection. Okay, then CAB team leader also will introduce their team to your team. After the introductions, ask the team leader if they want to tour the lab. And if they want to tour the lab, then you ask your team to go back to their assigned area so they can meet the CAB team when they come to the area. Okay. And if they don't want to have a tour because of time limits, then everybody who's assigned to a CAB inspector will take their inspector and go to their assigned area to start the inspection. Now, if before you go on the tour or you start the inspection, ask them if they want to put their extra stuff, their extra papers in their working room. You should have a working area or a meeting room for the inspectors, for their meetings, for their pre-summation, okay, and for them to do the paperwork. If somebody is done early and they want to sit and finish their paperwork or have a break, okay, you should have an area for the inspectors to sit like a meeting room. Okay. I already told you about that. If they want to inspection, if they want a tour, and if they don't want a tour, what you do. Okay. If your inspector wants to inspect your section, dirty area, now we started on the inspection, okay? If they want to, if your inspector, the section inspector, wants to inspect your section, the dirty area, make sure you ask them if they want a lab coat or a gown or gloves. It's up to them. If they say yes, you give them. If they say no, you don't give them. That's why I advise you to have some disposable coats or gowns for the inspectors if they want it. So if the inspector is done with your section before lunch, take them either to the next section if they want to start another section, or the next section on the schedule, or to their working room. Okay. At noon, take them back to their lunch area. The lunch area could be arranged in the cafeteria in a separate area, or you could have lunch for them in their working room or their working area. Okay. Usually they have a private lunch. Team leader will discuss with his team, how's it going, are you facing any issues, how's the lab, and usually they don't want to discuss these things in front of you. So don't say I would like to sit with you during lunch unless they say so, okay? Because they might want to be sitting alone. Also, if you are in a clean area, like you are in a manager office, a supervisor office, okay, have or bring beverages and snacks for the inspectors. A starving or thirsty inspector is not a happy inspector. But if you are working in the lab, in the section, in a dirty area, Don't offer food or any drinks. At 1 p.m., usually they take an hour for lunch, but the inspector might tell you, come back for me after half an hour. So when you take them to their lunch, okay, ask them, when should I come back for you? Or if you are done with them, ask them, what should the next supervisor on the schedule come for you? Okay, so you just follow their instructions. But usually they take an hour, so at 1 p.m., come back for your inspector as stated on the schedule and or agreed on with the inspector. When done with the last section on the schedule, okay, the inspector done with the last section on the schedule, bring them back to their working room. So everyone is invited to attend the summation. Usually it's around between 4 and 4:30. Okay? In an auditorium or a meeting room. It depends on how many people you're gonna be getting. Here overseas, we do it in an auditorium because CAB accreditation is something big for hospitals and laboratories, and usually people from outside the lab come for the summation. In the US, from my experience, they don't. So usually the summation is done in a board meeting room, for example. But it's up to you. So on the day of the inspection activity schedule, the day will go like this. Okay, I'll tell you the day, how the day will go like this. Okay. At 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:15, the team arrive. You meet them at the front door, the main door. Okay. At 8 to 8:30, it will be in introductions. The team will introduce the CAB team leader or the lab team leader will welcome and introduce his team, and the CAB team leader will introduce his team. Okay. 8:30 to 9, usually a tour of the lab, or they can start the inspection immediately. Okay, and then from 9 to 12, they will do inspection of different sections as scheduled. Then 12 to 1 will be lunch, and then after 1 to 4, usually they continue with the inspection. Then they need between half an hour to an hour for their pre-summation. Pre-summation conference, which be in their meeting room. It's private, okay, just for them alone to finish their paperwork. And then usually 5 to 5:30 will be a summation conference, which is public, where every team member of the CAB will tell you about the sections that they inspected and tell you about the citations if there is any. Also during the inspection, working with them, I'm going to tell you now, during the inspection, I'm going to tell you how to work with the inspectors, okay? In announced inspection and in unannounced inspection, we decide who work with the inspectors. We assign them. CAB does not force you to sign or to assign somebody for the inspectors. You choose who work with the inspectors, okay? So we have them on a schedule, assignment schedule. And I advise you here only to worry about your assigned inspector and your area. Stick to it. Don't worry about anybody else at this moment. Make sure for your section you have enough staff. You don't wanna be short of staff on that day. You don't want your staff coming to you and asking you a question. What do I do with this? I do with that. Okay, and make sure you have enough staff. Okay. Inspection almost all day, so you need to be free all day. You cannot be working on the bench. Okay, so you have to be free for the whole day, even if your inspection will take half a day, because you don't know. Maybe the inspector decide to come back and talk to you about some issues that they forgot to ask you about. And it happens. From my experience, it happens, believe me. If you have more than one person working with the inspector. In the US, usually does not happen, okay, but overseas, from my experience, you could have 2 or 3 working with the inspector. They will be the supervisor, the quality officer, and maybe the section head or the section director sitting with the inspector, okay? So if you have more than one person working with the inspector, one will lead, and the others sit there and listen, okay? Now, if that person who's leading is stuck, you can jump and help them. But you don't want 2 people talking at the same time, because you could be saying something and somebody else saying something else, and you will have a conflicted messages. Then the inspector will be looking at you and them, who's right and who's wrong, okay? This is very important. Again, also be nice and courteous to the inspectors, cooperate, don't give them a hard time, getting the information or answers from you. You see, either you have it or you don't have it. You have it or you don't have it. Don't insult the intelligence of the inspector. When you are telling a story, okay? Your story has to be convincing. Okay? Also, do not argue with the inspector. Like if he say, no, this is not the way to do it, you try once nicely to tell them about it, to convince them. If not, leave it alone, okay? Leave it alone. You can challenge it later on. Do not leave inspectors alone, even if they are going to the bathroom. You don't want them wandering around seeing things that they're not supposed to be seeing. So even if they want to go to their working area, they want to go to lunch to cafeteria, or they want to go to the bathroom, you take them. You stand outside, wait for them till they're done with their business, and you bring them back to wherever they wanna go. Inspector is done with your section when they sit in the summation conference. Don't say I'm done. Like say if your inspection AM and there is another section PM, you're not done till they are done. You're not done till they are done with their pre-summation and sit for the summation conference. Okay. CAB inspection team roster. I advise you have maybe a WhatsApp group or a roster with phone numbers where for your team. Okay. Your team, you need either create a group, WhatsApp group, or a roster with their phone number. So if say if the inspector done with you and they want to go to the next section, you just send a message or call them, say, and the inspector is coming for you. So they will be ready. Maybe you have a question. You can send to your team leader or to your quality manager. Also, when they are done with your section, you can say they're done with my section. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the inspectors in your section. If they ask to see your section, go with them. If you're not in the section, you are maybe in a meeting room, okay, doing the inspection there or in an office. If they want to see your section, and believe me, they want to see your section, okay, and they want to talk to your staff, and they might ask them questions. Now, let your staff answer. If they're stuck, you can help them a little bit, okay. Jump in, oh, you remember this, we talked about this, then oh, you say yes, and they start talking because they might be nervous, okay, because it's like a test, and people are nervous when there is a test. You tell your staff not to talk to the inspectors, only if the inspector asks, they answer. If the inspector comes, go around the section. If they say good morning, you say good morning. Okay, if they say hi, you say hi. Okay, but don't volunteer. Tell your staff not to volunteer to show anything, not to say anything they're not supposed to be saying. Only talk to the inspectors if they talk to you. Okay, to be concise, precise, and to the point. If they ask you a yes/no question, say yes/no. If they ask you how do you do this, you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To the point. Okay, no extra stuff. Because the more you talk, the more you could mess up. Okay. Not to volunteer an information. Tell your staff also not to lie to the inspectors. Either you know or you don't know. Okay. For the rest of the staff, if the business as usual. So if they talk to me, you have in the section 3, 4, 5 people, they talk to me in the section. The rest of the people, they don't come and gather around them and no, just act busy. Even if you're not busy, do something. Leave that person alone. Okay. Inspector might look in your drawers, okay, to look for food related items, things that do not belong there. Look in your cabinets, refrigerator, to look for expired item, for example, behind your instruments, on the top of your refrigerator, to make sure things are clean. That's why you want to make sure your lab is very, very clean. Okay. Watch out for expired reagent, food for the related item in your testing area. No cups, okay, like coffee mugs, but especially on the night shift, they have their drawer, special drawer where they have their snacks, they have their cups and stuff. You want to make sure in a dirty area, no food related item. In a clean area, the offices, okay, no dirty lab coats there, no gloves, etc. It's a clean area. In a dirty testing area, lab coats or gowns need to be closed, buttoned up to the neck. Okay, your lab coat should be to the knee. Okay, no food, no drinks, no gum. One time somebody told me gum is food. Yes, gum is food. So no gum. Do not leave the lab with your dirty coats or gowns or gloves. Tell your staff if they are going to lunch, they're going to the bathroom, they have to take their dirty lab coat and gloves before they leave the section. Do not go into clean area with dirty lab coats. Inspectors wants to find out if your laboratory is meeting CAB requirement. How? They will check your IBBs or SOBs, policies and procedures. They want to make sure they are current. What does that mean? They cover your testing menu. Your testing menu is the test that you report patient results on. They want to know that it's approved by the medical director or designee, acknowledged by all your staff, revised as needed, reviewed by the medical director every 2 years if this is your second inspection or third inspection or so on and so forth. Correct and followed. That's mean your practice must match your procedure, especially for manual testing. That's why your staff need to follow the procedure as written, because if they don't, okay, then the inspector will cite you for saying practice does not match procedure. The IBBs need to be correct and followed and available to all staff, whether hard copy or soft copy or both. If you have any retired IBBs, they need to be kept for 2 years for lab gen and 5 years for a blood bank, and they need to be kept in separate folder. They want to look at your QC. If this is your first inspection, you need 4 to 6 months of good clean data. If this is your second inspection or second cycle or more, then they will be checking 2 years of QC. So you want to have available for them your record of 2 years of QC. They want to know that the QC is done and accepted within the range before patient testings or per your policy. Okay, if the QC is out, repeated, and a corrective action is done, reviewed monthly by the lab director or a designee like the supervisor. Do not forget about a new QC lot verification. You need to do that. They will be looking for that because it's required. Now, an inspector might ask to see the QC of the day. They say, show me the QC of the day. Why? They want to see that the QC was done for the day, and they want to see if the QC was out, a corrective action was done. You can remove any previous year's record from your folders. Like if this is your first inspection, 4 to 6 months is enough. You can remove anything before that, especially if you know that there are some issues with it. Okay, if this is your second cycle or more, then you need to have only 2 years of record. Remove the years before that. What else they wanna check to make sure you are in compliance with the CAB standards? They want to check your maintenance. Again, maintenance like QC. If this is your first inspection, you need 4 to 6 months of good data. If this is your second cycle or more, then you need to keep 2 years of maintenance. They want to know it's done, documented, and initialed per schedule by the person who performed it. If it's not documented, it's not done. They want to see your corrective action if your instrument is down and or for missing days. Missing days mean that the technologist did not perform the maintenance. Reviewed monthly also by the lab director or designee. They will be checking other record as applicable, your microscope maintenance record, your bench cleaning record, centrifuge maintenance, eye wash, etc., etc. You need to organize your maintenance by instrument, by bench, by month. Make sure all of your instrument and PPMs are done and dated at least till the end of the month that you have your inspection on. For example, if your inspection is on June 16th, make sure your PPM stickers are good till the end of June, okay, of that year. What else they will be looking at during the inspection? They will be looking at your proficiency testing, obviously. So they will see that your PT order cover your testing menu. They wanna see that you order PT, you received it, you perform it, and all the techs who are involved in the patient testing are involved in PT. They are signed the attestation page by the lab director or designee and the technologist who performed the PT and reported by or on or before the due date of that particular survey. They want to see that you received your report from CAB, you reviewed them, you evaluate them, you investigate them if needed, approved, signed, and dated by the medical director or the designee. There are 3 to 4 important signatures for the PT and the attestation page. Okay, the CAB evaluation report, your evaluation report, and your investigation report if needed. So that's 3 to 4 signatures, a must for the medical director or designee. If you have an alternative assessment, and usually you do, alternative assessment you do for the test that CAB does not have that CAB does not have BT4, or for the things you need to confirm if you could not determine from the CAB report that you are within the peer group or not. So they want to see a list of that. They want to see a list of the alternative assessment, and they want to see that you did them. So are all of your needed alternative assessment for your needed BT and alternative assessment for tests that do not have BT form are done, okay, reviewed and approved. If your PT calendar filled, if you have one, and make sure it's up to date if you have a PT calendar. And I gave you an example of this when we talked about the subject of proficiency testing. What else they want to see? They want to, of course, go through your CAB checklist, your section checklist, and you should have your compliance for your section checklist and your all common checklist. And also you need to be familiar with the lab general checklist. But all common checklist you need to have, you need compliance for it also with examples from your own section. So for your section checklist, work from the most recent checklist or the one that the CAB tell you that I'm going to be inspecting you with that checklist, okay? Make sure you say yes or NA for all the standards. Yes means that you do it and you have compliance for it. NA, that means not applicable to you. As applicable for yes standards, you need to write in next to the standard the AABB number, name, page and section where the compliance or the answer is, okay? If the answer is or the compliance is the whole AABB, you just write the number and the name next to the standard. For evidence of compliance, you need to provide the supporting documentation. If they tell you record, you have record or you need record, then you need to provide an example. You can make a copy of it, or you need to refer in the checklist where the example is. Maybe you can say PT folder, QC folder, maintenance folder, things like that, okay? So any nose, you need to be converted to IS. What does no mean? No mean that it's applicable to me, but I don't have compliance for it. So you need to convert the no to IS by either writing a policy procedure, adding a section to a policy procedure, or maybe develop a form or order something. Maybe you need to order something in order to comply with the standard. For re-inspections, concentrate, if this is your re-inspection second cycle or more, okay, concentrate on new standard, revised standard, merge. They could merge more than one standard into one, or moved from one checklist to another. Sometimes they move a checklist from like chemistry to the all common or to the lab gen, okay, or from lab gen to all common. So you want to concentrate on a new, revised, merge, moved, and the most cited and the previously cited standards for your lab from your last inspection. For the all common checklist, every section need one. Go through it and be familiar with it, all of it, okay? As applicable, you need your own documentation or a record examples for the following standards, okay? All these. So the policy-wise, usually the quality officer will take care of the policy for the all common standards. Okay, because most of these policies, procedures coming from the LabGen policies. However, each section, okay, they need their own example for these standards as applicable. Also, from the LabGen, you need examples for all these for these 5 standards. Like you need your own QM program, you need your own indicators, you need to post the cap sign in your section, you need your record specimen retention, okay, and primary specimen container labeling. What else they will be looking at? They will be reviewing your validation verification record. For quantitative testing, they will check that, make sure that you have the accuracy, the precision, sensitivity, specificity, reportable range, and the reference range for all the tests you report patient result on. For qualitative testing, then the last 2 are not applicable to you, but the rest is. Okay, you need a validation summary statement that is signed by the medical director or designee. And to know more about this subject, please refer to the subject and lectures and lessons on method validation for qualitative and quantitative testing. How long you keep your record for your validation? You need to, for Lab General, you need to keep as long as you keep that instrument or kit, plus 2 more years after you discontinue them. For a blood bank, as long as you have that instrument or kit, plus 5 years after you discontinue using them. What else they will be looking at? They will be looking at the training and competencies for a new hire, a new staff. Okay, you need a safety training checklist. You need a LIS training checklist, or at least add something regarding a LIS training in your section specific training checklist. You need section specific training checklist. You need competency assessment. You need for non-wave testing. You need semi-annual competency and an annual competency. For wave testing, you only need an annual competency. For greater than 1 year employees who have been with you 1 year or more, you only need to be doing competency on them yearly, annually. For panic results, you want to make sure if you have a list of panic results in your section, the people know about them and they call them when they have them, and document whom they call it to, the date and the time, and don't forget about the readback. Also, you need to have quality indicators for your sections. Also, on your reagent lot-to-lot verification, make sure your quality indicators are signed on a monthly basis by your medical director. This is part of their involvement in managing the lab. It's required in their own checklist. Okay. For a new reagent lot-to-lot verification, you need to do, as applicable, instrument to instrument or method to method comparison. If you have more than 1 instrument that you are doing the same test on, you need to compare twice per year. A new QC lot verification, also they will be looking for that. Inspector probably will spend time in your laboratory section, and also you could be visited by the lab gen inspector, okay, who will be checking on safety and safety issues in different sections. Why? To ensure actual practice matches document procedure. Ask probing questions. Look at your drawers, cabinet, refrigerators behind your instrument to make sure the area is clean. Watch out for expired reagent, food-related items in this testing area, like I told you before. Also chemicals if out of the original container need to be labeled and stored according to section and safety IBBs. The doors to your section should be closed at all the time. The doors that separate clean area from a dirty area, testing area should be closed also all the time. Okay, now at the end of the, we're gonna talk about at the end of your section inspection. At the end of your section inspection, what will happen? If you do not already know, okay, because usually the inspector will tell you, I'm gonna cite you for this, I'm not convinced with your answer, or you don't have an answer for this, I'm gonna cite you for that. So if you already know, you know, or what you're gonna be cited for. If you do not already know, ask the inspector very clearly, the $1 million question, okay? Do I have any citations? Very clearly, okay? Ask them, do I have any citations? Then they should tell you, because they should not surprise you at the summation with any new citations, okay? Why do you want to ask them if you have any citations? Because if you have time, and usually you do, okay, you have time, maybe you have time to correct some of these citations, and they will take them out, okay, and they will say corrected on site, okay. It is, like I said, it's not over till it is over, till they sit on their chairs for the summation conference. Okay, they might come back to you. You are under inspection as long as they are in the lab up to the pre-summation. Pre-summation, they might come, oh, I did not ask about this. They did not get back with me with this. They might come back and talk to you. So you're done when they sit for the summation conference, okay? When are you done? When they sit for the summation conference. If inspectors are done with your section, and they do not have another section to inspect, bring them to their working area. If they have another section to inspect, you take them to the next section on the schedule. Also, there will be pre-summation. It's now we're going to talk about at the end of the inspection. Now, at the end of the inspection means they are done with all the lab sections. Every inspector done with the assigned sections or checklist they're supposed to be doing. Okay. So at the end of the inspection, there will be a pre-summation, and this is a private, inspectors only with their team leader. There will be a pre-summation done at their working room, and you can see the activity schedule, usually around 4:30 for that. And then there will be a summation when they're done with their pre-summation to do their paperwork and finish citing any citation, any recommendations. Okay, if there is any, hopefully you will have none. Then they will say, okay, now we're gonna go for summation, and this is public. Like I told you, invite as many people as you can, especially if you know you are doing well. You don't wanna share your good news with everybody in the hospital. Okay, so usually it's done in the main auditorium. They schedule it for an hour, arrange time for that, and then come to the summation room. Encourage all staff from the whole hospital to attend to the summation conference. Everyone is welcome to come to the summation. Also, now they're done with the summation. Usually in the summation, the team leader thank the lab medical director and the team who work with them. Okay, and if he inspected some sections, he will say, I inspected histology, cytology, thank you, so and so, and I have no deficiencies, for example, for that section. If they have any deficiencies, they will tell you what the deficiencies are, and then they move on to the team members. The team members, they list whom they work with. They thank them, and they say either they have citations or they don't have citations, and so on and so forth till the whole team is done. So now after the inspection, if you are not cited, congratulations and thank you. You have done a great job. If you are cited, you have deficiencies, thank you also, but you need to take care of the citations or the deficiencies that you have. How? Each deficiency requires a separate deficiency response sheet. If for phase 1 deficiency, you just respond by saying, I fixed it, but you don't need to provide documentation for that. For phase 2 deficiencies, you need to say you fixed it and you need to provide documentation for that. Now, if the same supporting documentation is used for multiple responses or citation, you need to make a copy of those and attach the copy to each citation or deficiency. Usually you have 30 days to respond to CAP deficiencies from the inspection days. All deficiencies citation must be corrected before accreditation is granted. What about deficiencies or citation corrected on sites? Do you need to respond to those? No, you don't, because they were corrected on site. How about recommendations? Do you need to respond for those? No. Also, recommendation is just another way of doing things. They recommend that you're doing it this way. I recommend that you do it this way. If you like, you can go with it. If you don't like, you just stay doing it the way you are. Okay, unless they tell you this time I'm gonna make it a recommendation. Okay, but next time it will be a citation, then you need to change. Okay, if you believe that you were cited unjustly, okay, the inspector cited you unjustly, then you can challenge these deficiencies, but you need to support documentation that you were in compliance before or at the time of the inspection. You need to provide documentation, supporting documentation for phase 1 and phase 2 in this case, if you are challenging a deficiency. This is how our deficiency response sheet will look like. You write the information of your lab, and then here you write the cited deficiency and how you are complying with it. Now, what the team leader and the inspector will be looking for, focusing on during the inspection, they want to know, does this lab meet the standard? Are the lab director, section head, and the supervisor qualified? Hospital administration satisfied? Are the medical staff satisfied? Were concerned deficiencies and issues addressed, corrected, and documented? What else? They will be focusing on everything else I talked about in this presentation. Next, I'm going to give you some tips for the inspection. It is important to overplan. Don't say, I'm done, I'm over. You need to review, and be prepared. Think like an inspector, okay? It will make your inspection smooth with few deficiencies, if any. Prepare staff, make sure your practices matches your procedures, very important, okay? Dirty lab coats, gown, and gloves, okay? Don't go into cleaning area with them, and make sure you wear them when you are in your section working on the bench doing patient testing. Do not lie, okay? Do not insult the intelligence of the inspectors. These people are very experienced. They know what they're doing. They have done probably many inspections. So either you have or you don't have, but don't lie. Be specific, concise, precise, and to the point. Yes, no question, answer yes, no. How do you do this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't volunteer any information. Okay? Stick to the schedule and worry about your schedule only. The policy is your policy should be never to leave an inspector alone. You go with them wherever they wanna go. Some final thoughts. No inspection will go usually without any problems or issues. But if you plan in advance, you will do just fine. Yes, you will. Okay. Finally, if you do all the above that I told you about, I'm very confident that you will do very well because you would have prepared very well. Okay. And you work very hard for this day. So after you're done, just take a deep breath. Don't be nervous or stressed. Focus on the goal. Stay away from negative people because negative people always have a problem for each solution, and do not worry about anything else, at least yet. If you do all this, what will happen? Okay, you will pass with flying colors. Okay, if you do all this, you can hear you did it. If you do all this, then people start saying congratulations for you. Then you can celebrate that you passed the CAB accreditation, and the journey will continue on. I'm done with this topic, CAB inspection stages, before, during, and the end of your inspection. For the next subject, please go to how to be CAB ready in your lab every day. Thank you very much for watching.